part two. Okay, welcome everybody. We are back. It's a new year, and a few things have changed. There's some cool stuff happening on the horizon, but as usual, we're here to kind of discuss what's going on in the context of growing businesses.
Yeah.
Today is a important topic. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff happening in 2026 around this. So our title is Why Your Best Reps Are Open to Work. And that's because your highest performing people are often the first to leave. Yep. They leave for a number of reasons. Some of them burn out. Most of them feel unappreciated. Plus, there are all sorts of management behaviors that go from unsupportive to downright diminishing. And, you know, we've got some great numbers. I'm sure you can bring some great metrics to the table on this one, Rob, but losing them costs far more than hiring replacements. So today we're here to really discuss the hidden leadership mistakes that drive top performance out the door, that chase them away from their desk, have them fleeing to other businesses, and how to solve that before things unravel right down to the core. There are management things that will drive turnover. There are ways to recognize burnout. There are ways to capture sentiment before it becomes resentment. But most of all, there's a way of creating loyalty, growth, which should be the foundation of a culture. And some frameworks that will keep A players engaged, or more importantly, help you find the heart of a B player and give them the opportunity to become an A player. And really that's the stuff that we're going to kind of focus on today, because it matters more than you can imagine, and there are some pretty serious numbers behind all of it. So yeah, let's dig in.
The magic number, the 213 strikes again, right? The 213% of the salary of the team member you're turning over when they walk out the door voluntarily or otherwise. That's your total loaded cost. So if you think that's a joke, it's not. It's very academically validated. You got to roll in all the hard costs, recruiting costs, replacement, transferred, sub-optimized workloads of those who are dependent on the stuff that that person can no longer do. So you account for all of it holistically. You get the 213. So let's keep that number in mind as we start talking about how to fix that cost problem.
Yeah, and maybe that's one of the first things that we can go into, right? Or at least it's where my mind goes. It might not be where we get to go, but what's the breakdown of that 213? Like, what does 15% this, 25% that, 47%? Like, how would you break that pizza into slices if you were forced to or asked to?
Well, it's about, depends on the position how you slice up that pie, but it's somewhere between 25 and 50% hard replacement recruiting costs, like what you pay agency.
Okay.
Right? Those kinds of fees.
And then what's the opportunity cost of having that seat empty for a period of time?
Well, you get the opportunity cost of the work they would have done that couldn't be transferred to somebody else, right? That's a loss of productivity. Yeah. Depending on the role, that can show up on your top line, your bottom line, or somewhere else in your business in the middle of the balance sheet. And then you have a whole bunch of like secondary and tertiary factors of you just start passing stuff down the line into coworkers. You end up with, then they're burned out, they're stressed, their right. Quality goes down. What's the cost of quality in your org? That suffers, right? There's only so much room for the work. And the turnover tends to create a cascade, right? A butterfly effect of a certain amount of discontent in your organization. So Engagement is a holistic pursuit.
Love it. Love it. So there's a big loss if they leave. What would you say is the slightly lower level loss during the pre-leaving part where they've completely checked out?
If they're not a complete cancer in the well, if they're just like getting really passively lazy,
Yeah.
doing enough not to get fired while they interview elsewhere, that candidate, that
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. No overt harm, just the general, if nobody's watching me, I might be playing video games.
Yeah, you will watch their focus work productivity time go down. You will see them checking job boards. You'll see them taking more days off, surprisingly, to go to interviews, but they won't tell you that. More sick days. There's patterns that you will start to notice that look a lot like they have a medical problem, but it's actually them interviewing. Can't hear you, Zach.
Yeah, come back in at the mic.
There we go.
Perfect.
I want to add on top of this, because I think that what we're doing is we're looking at it from the perspective of all of these negative behaviors that managers are engaged in. But I think that sometimes your team is open to work, and it's not because of a negative thing you're doing, but rather it's because of something that you're not doing, right?
100%.
So it could be you're not listening to them. You're not giving them opportunities to expand. You're not giving them opportunities to, implement new skill sets that they've learned, or, bring a technology forward that could revolutionize your business. When you do that, you're actually depressing their desire to stick around, which is leading to this turnover as well. So it's not just negative behaviors, but it's also the absence of positive behaviors that are leading to, teams being willing to walk away. And sometimes, frankly, with sales teams in particular, it's just that you're not showing them the Benjamins. And this is something that I firmly believe, with the advent of AI and the sort of outmoding of certain white collar jobs, sales is going to stick around, and it's going to become more and more vital and more valuable of a role in our business society. And I think that that's something that people aren't really thinking about yet, but they should be. They should definitely be thinking about, how do I keep my sales team around and happy?
Absolutely. And on that note, I was kind of waiting for AI to come up into this conversation today, but developing yourself inside of the organization, right? Giving the opportunity to grow your skill sets. You've touched on this so many times, Rob, about how you enter an environment with the hope that, as you stay there, you progress. And, that's the reason some people leave, is they don't feel like they're being encouraged and or challenged, or, it can come out a bunch of different ways. Of course, there's team matches, personality matches, all sorts of stuff that you can configure for that. But at the core, people would like to believe that they're contributing and or possibly even getting smarter and more skillful. So my favorite story about that actually came up in a consulting call earlier today. It's somebody that we're servicing in their business. He was off in a different company doing some work. And this is a big B business. It's like in the billions of revenue. And he was hanging out with the people down on the ground floor, so to speak, having a conversation. And they are all being encouraged to implement AI, which in this case is go get a GPT. And now you've had the course. That's the beginning, middle, end of the training. Go get one and start using it in your job. And I can't imagine a more confounding way for anybody to be taught to implement something.
Oh,
It just seems crazy to me. And like, if that's in a big company top down, like this is how we're going to implement it's almost like video games are better because at least you get the dopamine, you know what you're doing, where you're going, you score it, right? Whether or not you've achieved
Yes.
something.
Well, and that's what's so tricky, right? Is that one of the things that I have learned as a consultant is that we have this sort of perspective that these larger companies know what the hell they're doing. But the fact of the matter is that they're pulling it out of their ass as much as the smaller guy is. The only
Right.
difference is the size of the budget, right?
right.
Like,
Yeah.
and so with stuff like this, where this large company, you said $1 billion company, is telling people, just go pick something and give it a try. It's like, okay, but like Grok has very specific use cases that it works better on.
Right.
Claude does, Perplexity does, GPT
Right.
does. Like all of these different generative AIs have different use cases, and like not providing any sort of training on that, you're completely setting your team up for failure, and you think that you aren't. So what I call this, and you'll have to pardon me, I'm getting over a head cold. I call this the ooze principle. And basically what it is that a lot of times, like Jacob, you're having a drink, I've got my water bottle here. If I poured this out, that water would just kind of ooze across my desk through the paths of least resistance to the lowest point where it would stop.
Right.
But we also use water to cut structural steel.
Mhm.
How do we do that? We channel it and direct it and focus it through a million small pipes and turns and angles until finally it is focused and driven and directed and pressurized enough that it can cut structural steel.
Yeah.
And so it's like with this, what we see is that way more companies than you would ever expect engage in the ooze principle instead of channeling and directing their team. Now, I get the desire to get your team to use AI, but because you're not channeling and directing that and providing a sandbox, a container in which they can play and actually implement this AI, then you're setting them up for failure. And that's one of those examples where it's something that you're not doing that is causing people to leave rather than something that you are doing.
Yeah. And you're setting yourself up for trouble because there are no guardrails. And so if you're in a state of like, I don't know, HIPAA compliance or financial information, like, why don't I just put this client's, statements into this thing and have it organize it for me? Like, that's just out there now.
Engineering IP.
Yeah.
Right. All kind of trade IP. Right. All your secret sauce to your business. Yeah. Go ahead. Throw that up on GPT. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah. Make it searchable for the rest of us.
Yeah. And it's the same problem. I don't know. It's just kind of all tricky because it's like these people who are coming in and trying to help implement internal LLMs, that it's just not ready for production yet, in my opinion. Not entirely, right? Because the hallucinations are so high. But it's like, that's again where that training comes into play. Like, no, you can't share patient information with ChatGPT. That's a HIPAA compliance issue.
Yeah.
No, you can't, like, all of that needs to happen. But it's like, if it's not being actively ideated at the top, it's not being dispersed down throughout the rest of the team.
Right. It's playing doctor was something you don't know almost anything about, and then handing the syringe to all your minions, right? Like you're just asking for trouble.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Well, and with something like AI will literally tell you how to use it if you ask it.
Yeah.
It's like I wanted to learn how to up my game with agent mode in ChatGPT. So I was like, teach me about agent mode. When is it
Right.
best to use it? When is it not best to use it? Like, and it would tell me exactly that. And then not only that, like you can use AI to up your prompting game. Like tell
Yes.
me, like research best practices for prompting, and then here's a prompt, score it 1 out of 100, and give me recommendations to get it to a hard 100. Like super easy
Right.
stuff, but people aren't like training their team on that, and they're just expecting people to figure it out. But the problem is that because of the hallucination factor, and Jacob, you're the AI expert, so correct me if I'm wrong here, the hallucination factor is so much more devastating in these instances where you're making important decisions based off of hallucinations or bad prompting.
Yeah, I think without getting into the weeds in it, the simplest thing you can say is the most consistent hallucination it has is that you're brilliant. Right? So you can put in the weirdest, dumbest, or craziest prompt you can imagine, and it'll go, great idea.
Right. It's overly validating.
And then go from there. And so that's maybe one of the first things to consider if you're just starting out to play with AI is question everything.
Yes.
And keep questioning it. And the stuff that you're talking about, Zach, like get very granular about it in terms of your asks. Like, I'm trying to learn how to tie my shoe. Could you please walk me through step by step the different ways that I could?
Yeah.
Right? And like, if you're not working that simple, then it'll just kind of go way off. Well, I want to say the rails, but there are none. It's not sitting on rails. It is just floating in space anyway.
Well, and I think what we're hitting on here is this idea that one of the things that companies can do is ask employees to do something without setting an example of doing it themselves or providing training so that those people can do it, right? Providing the guardrails. And I think that another thing that companies do that, causes their teams to silently be looking for work is like the pay side. And this is actually becoming a bigger and bigger and bigger problem with inflation in the United States. I don't know how it is in Canada, but in the United States, this is getting really bad, right? Like real wages have not kept up with inflation for about 25 years. And so like people in our age group are not able to afford basic living stuff. And so they're having to take on these side hustles just to make ends meet. And it's like, I was talking with someone just the other day and they're like, oh, well, just, if you want to invest in property, go buy a house. And I was like, you mean an $800,000 starter home, depending on your location? Or should I buy a $50,000 house in a place nobody cares to live?
Right.
So it's not like either way, I'm stuck.
Yeah, there was a brilliant study released on that recently in the context of banks and how in order for a teller to be able to afford a home on their salary, it broke down to a 2-hour commute.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is a huge problem. And so employees are rightfully doing what's in their best interest, which is looking for better pay. And employers aren't delivering it to them. Now, I don't know the intricacies and cash flows of every business, right? But one thing I do know is that if real wages don't start going up, and I mean like dramatically, or we see massive deflation in this country, you're going to have quiet quitting at an epidemic level.
Epic. Yes.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's going to be a huge problem. And so employers who think that, oh, I can pay someone $50,000 a year and they're going to be satisfied to work for me. No, you have to look like $80,000 is honestly like, that's lower middle class in the United States with cost and everything else. Like That's lower middle class is $80,000. This isn't the 90s anymore. I'm sorry, this isn't the 90s anymore. If you want to be considered upper middle class, you've got to be making $250,000 a year
Mhm.
to keep up with all of your expenses. And this isn't just spend less, because I've got a wife and 4 kids, and my grocery bill is it's almost $1,000 a month, and we're
Mhm.
not spending a ton of money, right? We're not buying extravagant
Yeah.
things.
This is not Wagyu.
No, no, this is not Wagyu beef. And so it's like, you have to like look at that. And part of that requires having an open and honest conversation with your employees and having that dialogue and being willing to own, you know, that the world is no longer what baby boomers grew up with, which is you swing a cat and you can find a job that you could raise a kid, raise a family. One of the parents could stay home. You could have a house. You could pay off that house in 30 years. Like, that is no longer the case. And so
Yeah.
if you want employees to stick around, you have to pay them money.
Mhm. Absolutely.
I'll get off my soapbox. I'd love your guys' take.
Those are important components.
Money's part of total comp, right? So the money matters. And yes, and the candy in the break room that is also part of total comp doesn't, you can't turn that into diapers.
Yes.
There's a minimum threshold, and all the fringe benefits that you say, well, are higher margin and greater value to our team members. So we're going to have pet insurance and we're going to have all these other things. And then we can't pay you. We only give you a 1% raise. Well, guess what the value of that pet insurance is if you give out 1% raises and inflation's at 3, 4, 5, 7%, right?
Yeah.
I just went backwards. No, thank you. I can't even afford to feed the dog. I can't afford to have a dog. I don't need the pet insurance. I'm out.
And that's like, that is 100% accurate. Like, that is a real world thing that people are experiencing now. It's like business owners think, oh, I've got a Nintendo 64 and a ping pong table in the break room and
Right.
free sodas, so we're set. And I
Right.
can sit here, I can milk this company, I can harvest it. And I don't typically get into the like greedy business owners trope. Like, I really don't. But at the same time, it does exist. And we have to acknowledge that it does exist to a certain extent. Like, there's a reason that happens. But it's like, business owners have to say, like, no, it's, if I have to choose an either or as an employee, screw the free Coke. Give me more money
Right.
in my pocket and let me decide, do I want to buy Coke or not?
Right.
I got the branded water bottle the day I got hired anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and frankly, if I have to choose between every single employee getting a branded water bottle or getting another $5 a month, give them $5 more a month, right? Like, they will appreciate that more, because at the end of the day, like, yes, and Jacob, I'm sure that, or Rob, I'm sure that you could argue about all of the intangible things that help with this. But at the end of the day, your employee is coming to work for you, not because you're a great person, but because they want money. You know, just join me with a thought experiment. Join with me for a thought experiment here. You both, all of us are consultants. How long would you continue to service a client if they said, I'm sorry, I can't pay you this week?
Full breach, right? That's material breach. We're out.
Yeah. And what if it went 2 weeks? And let's say, they say, oh, the check's in the mail, just give me a week. Okay. What if it goes 2 weeks? 3 weeks? Right? It's like, we're all acknowledging, it's like, if you can't meet that first week, I'm out of here. Good luck.
Right.
Right? How do you think employees feel?
Mhm.
They are coming to work for you because of money. All of the other
Right.
intangibles are icing on the cake, in my opinion. I don't know. Rob, what's your take on that?
You guys there?
Yeah, I think your audio just dropped for a sec. So Zach had asked you money versus intangibles.
So it's money versus intent. It's a mixed bag, right? You got to have a lot of things. You got to have many of those things, but there's a question of extent in which you believe it's a substitute when you haven't met a minimum threshold. The best way I've seen it done is, a lunch menu where people get to spend points on their balance, and indeed they can get themselves more money if they want more money. They can sell back vacation if they don't need the vacation. They can, check, I don't want health insurance and get credit back. I don't want pet insurance, get credit back, right? Like, let them pick what's right for them, right size, real time, like Chipotle of benefits, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where my head is. Let them pick their own intangibles.
I actually really
Did I
like
lose
that
you guys?
approach. No,
Yeah.
you didn't. I really like that approach, and I think that makes sense, especially in the world today.
I can still
Right?
hear you.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
I got no Zach though.
Uh-oh. How about now?
It's good for me as well. Yeah, so just chiming in with that, I agree, and I think the fact is technology has improved to such a degree that it shouldn't be too hard to customize some of these plans and these situations and these scenarios, and even negotiate with the people who are providing them to your company or organization or selling them to you, because we all have data.
And I think you're right. I will say this though,
Agreed.
because the easiest way to customize is to just give them the money it would have just give them
Yes.
that money in the first place and let them customize it themselves. Let
100%.
them decide where they want to spend that money.
Yeah,
Yep.
100%.
I do like the idea of customization though, and providing those options. I just think that there are certain things that it's like health insurance is important. That's one that probably needs to be available for employees. But like outside of these sort of key benefits,
Yeah.
like having a work environment that isn't oppressive is probably one of those intangibles. Making sure that your team
Yeah.
feels heard and respected, that they're getting coaching, is all really important. But I mean, we've all heard of the golden handcuffs.
Mhm.
And so I
100%.
think that it's like we cannot undervalue how much just properly compensating your teams works. And I've heard people say in the past, and these are the good leaders. Rob, maybe you've heard something similar. I don't care if my team gets paid more than me. I want them to make more money than me because it
Right.
means that they're being successful.
Absolutely.
They're two unrelated things, right? They're specialty of their position, IT architect versus IT manager,
Mhm.
right? Two different principal engineer versus engineering manager. You might have been the grade 2 engineer who got promoted to engineering manager. That principal engineer is 18 to 20 years in the job, certified in 26 states, right? It's not apples to apples. What are you comparing? It's not justice in that, right? Like, little humility goes a long way. You want to make more money, work harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the litany of like bad leadership and tyrannical, I don't care, just do it language, and
Yeah.
yelling and management with a stick and all that garbage, like, corporate needs to figure out how to fix that. Otherwise, this trend towards solopreneurship and entrepreneurship is just going to continue, and they're going to have a serious employment problem in the next 15 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. As I say in so many of these things, there's assessments to quantify all of this. So you don't have to just believe us, right? Just don't take my word for it. Hashtag validated assessment. You're curious if people are getting the recognition they need? We can do that. You're curious if your leaders suck? We can do that, right? There's validated solutions. Pull the lever with certainty to fix the thing that needs to be fixed in your business. Call us, we'll help.
Yeah, it does really come down to validation, and that tends to be one of the biggest leaps forward that happens in most of the organizations that we're implementing systems into, is they start gathering data. And not having measurable data is one of the most consistent issues that I see across the board. Unfortunately, the people that have put in systems and are gathering data are usually measuring the wrong things as well.
Can I tell you a great story about stupidity in data? so it's unbelievable how analytically it's just awful. So my wife's a teacher, right? She goes to this all teacher assembly, and the principal gets up there and says 80% of the suspensions are students of color. This is a problem. We're being racist. Never mind the fact that 92% of the students are people of color. So it's actually an underrepresentation.
Yeah.
It's not, if anything, it's racist in the other way. It's affirming, right? But people don't know what their data means, and they don't know, like, a percent without the percent to compare to is garbage. A percent without a hard number, garbage. You have no idea of scale. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Yes, that is like, that should have been on The Office. That is brilliant.
Yeah, that's where you brought me back to too, is actually the t-shirt of like 60% of the time it works all the time.
All the time.
Yes. It's just like, this is why people need us. And I'm not saying that people are data illiterate, but I kind of am saying that people are data illiterate. Like, I took an MBA level course on statistics, and you guys would be shocked at how hard that was for my classmates to get through. And this was in a top 25 school in the nation, right? So, like, you would be surprised at how many people just don't get statistics, that don't know the difference between the median or the mode, that don't understand what a standard deviation is. And all of those little things are so important to understanding what the data is actually telling you, and then making sure that you're taking appropriate action. It's the same thing as we were talking about with AI earlier, right? Like, if AI creates a hallucination, well, what if you're the AI that's hallucinating the interpretation of the data? It happens.
Yeah.
Just like you talked about, Rob. And this is why people need us, because we can interpret that data because of experience and education, and understand how and when to properly apply it.
Right.
And that is very important, and something that a lot of people miss. And applying this to the context of our conversation today, like, just because Google and Facebook and now X and OpenAI and all of these companies have a doctor on staff and have, a free smoothie bar and, a 5-star chef and all of those things, doesn't mean that that's why people are working for that company. And it
Right.
doesn't mean that that's the thing that's keeping those people in the company, right? There is a difference between correlation and causation. That two things
Yep.
happen at the same time does not necessarily mean that this thing is causing that thing to happen or vice versa.
Right. Sometimes it's the other way, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which one is the cause? Who knows? They just moved together. Maybe they're unrelated.
Or maybe they cause each other. Like it's impossible to know sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
And so it's like making sure that the interpretation of the data is really important.
Yeah.
Like really important.
Yeah, absolutely. My mileage
it's
is terrible, right? 4 flat tires.
Yeah. And so I think that like the data is going to tell you something, and you have to be sure that you're getting the right answer, particularly when it comes with something, bringing it full circle, that 213%, right? Like
Mhm.
213% of the salary of a given employee who walks out the door is what it costs to replace them. Like
Yeah.
that's a lot of
a
money.
lot.
It's a lot of money. And
Yeah.
so it's like you get enough of these anecdotes of people walking out the door and it's telling you something, and you need to listen to that data and interpret it properly, because if you're not, then you're setting yourself up for millions of dollars in losses that are real but don't feel tangible. Losing your top performing sales team because they care about the company more than you do, and it's breaking their heart to see this company that they believe could be way better, way larger, way more productive, way more profitable, employ a ton more people, and just see you screwing the pooch over and over again and refusing to listen to their advice or their insights. Like, yeah, that's a message that you need to hear. That's a lesson. That's data. And that's one of those things that is causing your top performers to leave, because frankly, they care about the company more than you do a lot of times. And it hurts them to see it go through the garbage that you're putting it through. And so it's easier for them to first disconnect emotionally, and then second, look for a place where they're going to be more welcome and fit in better.
Absolutely.
When your suppliers are firing you as a customer, you might not be making the right decisions in your business.
Mhm.
Right? Like, if I do a word cloud and the number one word in reason why you left is Jacob,
Mhm.
should you put Jacob in charge of talent acquisition?
Of course. And then start having a pizza party. It'll be fine.
And then your third party outsourced TA partner says, you know what, you guys are nuts, I quit.
Yeah.
Right? So these are all symptoms, right? They're all data points. And you don't look at one data point and make a decision, but you do look at many data points around a topic and say, well, what is the story here? What could these all mean together? I have 3 very different data points. I see things happening. Then we can start to assign some value to the data points. But all those in isolation, not so much.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot broken. The best people have the most options. If you don't take care of the best, what you're left is a culture of mediocrity, not a culture of excellence. So
Yes.
Yeah.
And all too often, what is it's a law, like you rise to the level of your incompetence, not the level of your
right,
training.
right.
And I think that that's something that more people need to come face to face with, is that you're not rising to the level of your training, you're rising to the level of your incompetence. And that's not even the level that you aspire to. Like,
Yeah.
more people have to be aware of their own incompetence. I said it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Humble enough to hire your compliment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Listen to the person below you when they tell you something, even if it's not what you feel like they should be saying. If it's behind a closed door and it's an insight that you don't have, how about instead of telling them to shut up and get back in their lane, you thank them for filling you in and being a good partner? How about that? So,
Absolutely.
yeah, we all got stories. And like, does anyone know what Wendy's sells anymore?
What Wendy's sells?
Yeah, I understand it's a bit of a tangent, but it's illustrative nonetheless. Do you know what Wendy's sells?
Well, hamburgers. I'm I'm
They've
I'm I'm
I'm waiting for a punchline, but yeah.
so
Frosties.
it's called Wendy's Hamburgers, but their latest commercial said they're going to change their name to Tendies
Oh
because
yeah.
they sell more chicken than anything else. But they've changed their product offering nonstop for the past 3 years as the executives at the top of that company have changed. And it's this guy's wild idea, that person's wild idea. Oh, we should put 6 Frosty machines in each unit. Make the franchisees do it. Oh, we should do this. Oh, we should do it's all these, just as you said, Zach. Do the
Right.
executives really know? Nope. They're creating brand confusion and consistency in an effort to compete.
Right.
And
Exactly.
meanwhile, the customer's like, I don't want to go there because I don't know what they have.
Yeah.
Honestly, and if you break down their sales, I am willing to bet that their top sellers are their $5 biggie bags, which are on their value menu.
Right.
And it's like, okay, so Wendy's go all in on being the value menu. Like, and here's the thing, like Arby's, I don't know what the hell they're doing. Like, frankly, Arby's is literally R period B period apostrophe S. Roast beef. Arby's. Like, why are you selling a chicken cordon bleu sandwich? What are you doing? Like, just sell me a roast beef sandwich. If I want a half-pound sandwich of roast beef, sell it to me. That's all you need. Like, Chick-fil-A is killing it. They are killing
Right.
it because they have one item that changes seasonally on their menu, right? It's one entree and one drink that changes seasonally on their menu. That is it. But people are freaking willing to kill each other over a chicken sandwich. Like, chicken too tasty, man. And like, they're doing it not because of the product itself, although the product is good. It's because of the experience around it. But the people who understood when not Wendy's, but Chick-fil-A understood, we are selling good customer service.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they
QSC,
pay
right? Quality, service,
well.
cleanliness, consistency, and experience for the customer in every dimension. That's the golden ticket, right? Not changing your name to Tendies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's not just them. Look at In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out Burger literally has not changed their menu since they started.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
It is the same exact menu. Now they have the special secret menu with the Flying Dutchman and the animal style and blah blah. But it is the same menu for like 50 years. And they're killing it too. And it's like, why? Again, it's customer service. And these two companies are the companies that pay their employees the best.
Right.
Yep.
And one of those things, just as we start, tying this stuff together, as a consumer, you go in and there's no mystery. So you don't end up in a fast moving lineup with an unfamiliar thing where you feel stupid. right? Where you just like go home in the dark and all the furniture's been moved.
Yeah. It's so fascinating to me because I guarantee you, like, look at Disney, right? Look at Disney. There was a frontline guy. He worked in Disneyland, had worked in Disneyland for like 15 years. What's his name? Bob Iger was going to
Mhm.
retire, and this guy got like 500,000 signatures on a petition for him to be the CEO of Disney, and they wouldn't even talk to him. And it was like, you look at this guy's ideas, and it was like, we got to go back to the magic. We got to focus back on the customer experience. And it was like, these are good ideas. And what happened? Bob Chapek came in and he completely tanked the brand. And now I don't particularly blame Bob Chapek when you look at the timeline of things. I think it was actually Bob Iger who set him up. Anyways, that's a different conversation. But it was like these big brands, even the small brands, when they disconnect from the people that they serve, employees and customers, is when they set themselves up for failure.
Yeah, and I'd reflect back that it starts, at home. Like the employees stop communicating, and you start losing connection with your customers because who's your front line,
Yeah.
Right.
right? So when those frontline people are checked out, you don't get the feedback that is so vital for people who are actually servicing those individuals that are keeping the lights on.
And we're back to where the 213 comes from, right?
Exactly.
There we are.
Yeah, very well said.
Brilliant, guys, as always.
Yeah. Thank you both so much for your time and your ideas and insight. And yeah, any last takeaways that you want somebody to kind of think with or go to work on?
Don't be a dick.
Yeah, fair enough.
I would say stop guessing so much and start acting empirically. And if you don't
Right.
have the analytical chops to do that, find somebody to stand next to you to tell you what the data means and not let you say 80% is bad when it's actually an underrepresentation.
Absolutely.
Because you look like a fool.
Yeah, 100%. And it looks bad on your resume.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you both so much. And thanks to those of you who are watching this and just putting in the time. We'd love to hear what you think and what you're taking away.
Awesome.